ॐ दक्षिणस्य समारम्भा शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमा अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्ता स्मर्या गुरुपरम्परा श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। परिज्ञानाश्रम श्रीगुरुशङ्कर परिज्ञानाश्रम शङ्कर सद्गुरु केशव वामन कृष्ण पाण्डुरङ्ग आनन्द परिज्ञान गुरु सद्यो जात शङ्कर सद्गुरु गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयाम देवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैः स्तुष्टुवागुंसस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। So we are in the second Mundaka and the second Khanda. And this entire Khanda, this entire section is basically talking about Brahma Swarupam, Atma Swarupam and Atma Brahma Aikyam or Jiva Brahma Aikyam. So most of the verses in this particular Khanda or in this particular section of about 12 to 13 mantras are nothing but Mahavakya Vicharas. What is the meaning of Mahavakya Vichara? It means that I, the Jiva, is not an individual by myself. I am nothing but that Brahman. I, the Jiva, am not different from that Brahman. Jiva, Brahma, Abheda Vakya is called as the Mahavakya, which in English has been translated as the Great Equation, which is nothing but saying that I, as the individual, and the other individuals in the Jagat and Ishvara are not three different entities. I am not different from the other Jivas. I am not different from Ishvara. There is no Jiva Jiva Bheda. There is no Jiva Ishvara Bheda. No Ishvara Jagat Bheda. There is one consciousness which is behind or which is the content of all the Jivas, the entire Jagat of objects, and also Ishvara. And from the point of view of the Samashti, from the point of view of Jagat, from the point of Ishvara, the same consciousness is what is called as Brahman. From the point of view of this individual body mind sense complex, Vyashti Jiva or the Vyashti Upadhi, it is called as Atma. Samashti Upadhitaya, it is called Brahman. Vyashti Upadhitaya, it is called as Atma. And Atma and Brahman are not separate from each other and they are one and the same. This is called as the Aikya Vakya or Mahavakya or Abheda Vakya. And then we have seen that in this entire section, we find the Mahavakyas. What is the, Swarupam of Brahman is described in the first portion of every mantra. And then ultimately it says that this is nothing other than you, the consciousness. I, the Tvam Padartha Tat Padartha Aikyam or the Tvam Padartha Tat Padartha Abheda is what is described in this entire section of this chapter 2.2. And we already saw that the first two verses talked about the Swarupam of Brahman. And in the last session, we saw that the third and the fourth mantras were talking about the upaya of understanding this Brahman, the upaya of understanding that I am none other than that Brahman. What is the upaya? The upaya was mentioned in detail in these two verses in the form of Omkara Vichara. And in very deep detail, I have already discussed in the last session what is the Omkara, what is the meaning of Omkara. Grammatically or from the point of view of language, linguistically, what Omkara means. Phonetically, what Omkara means. Scripturally, from the Shastra point of view, what Omkara means. And how Omkara is considered to be everything in this Jagat. What is it that is everything in the Jagat? It is this Brahman. Om iti etat sarvam. That's what Mandukya Upanishad, which actually specializes in this Omkara Vichara, talks about that. Whatever is there is nothing but this Omkara. Omkara is a name given to this Brahman. And to come to this Brahman and understand what this Brahman is, I take the alambanam of this Omkara. For Upasana also, for Chitta Shuddhi and Chitta Naischalyam, I take the alambanam of this phonetic symbol called Om. And for understanding the nature of this Brahman also, I take the alambanam of this Om for Omkara Vichara. So Om can be used as an Upasana symbol also, as a symbol from Okara Vichara also, and ultimately the example of archery was given. The imagery of archery was given, where the target was compared to Brahman, the arrow was compared to the prepared intellect of the Mumukshu, and the bow from which the arrow is released was compared to the Omkara, which is Upanishadam. Omkara, as described in the Upanishads, that Omkara Vichara, which has to be done as given in the Upanishads. And it said, Tat Tanmayo Bhavet. This Atmarupi, or this intellect of individual, what is called as this Shara, or what you call as the arrow, should become one with the target. What is the meaning of one with the target? Once it hits the target, the arrow should not fall by itself. And even if you try to remove it, that sharp edge or the sharp end of the arrow, which is nothing other than the sharp metal piece or the iron piece, it cannot be separated from that target. So Tanmayo Bhavet. This intellect is actually abiding in Atmaswarupa. The Jivatma abides in the Atmaswarupa. What is the meaning of abidance? Means very clearly understanding that I am not different from that Brahman. So in the first four verses of this particular section, we saw this particular thing we saw. Now we have to understand the next few verses. What are the next few verses talking about? Let us see. Now, this particular mantras, the next coming mantras are talking about mostly the Mahavakya Vicharas. They're only talking about the Mahavakya Vicharas. So let us see what the fifth mantra talks about. So, Yasmin dhyau prithivi chantariksham ओतं मनः सह प्राणैश्च सर्वैः तमेवैकं जानथ आत्मानम् अन्या वाचो विमुञ्चत अमृतस्य येष सेतुः. So what is the meaning of this? What is meant by this? He says, Yasmin Brahmani, Yasmin Atmani, in this Atma or Brahman, Dhyau Prithvi cha Antariksham. What he's saying here in this mantra is, Brahman is that consciousness, Brahman is that existence in which all the worlds are posited. The entire universe is born in this Brahman. It exists in Brahman and it resolves in Brahman. That is what he is talked about. So here he says, Yasmin, in which consciousness, in which existence, that which gives existence to all the 14 lokas, that which gives consciousness to the living beings of all the 14 lokas. Yasmin, in this consciousness, in this Brahman, Dhyau Prithvi cha Antariksham. Dhyau Prithvi Antariksham. He's only mentioning the three lokas. He's not talking about the other 11 lokas, but we have to extend it to all the 14 lokas. So, what does he say? It is this consciousness, it is this awareness, it is this existence in which Dhyau, the Dhyuloka, okay, Antariksha Loka, the in between, the Swarga Loka, the higher lokas, the in between Loka, Antariksham, and Prithivi, this particular Prithvi or this Prithvi Loka, where all the lokas, these three lokas are normally mentioned, Bhuhu, Bhuvaha, Suvaha, as we say in Gayatri Mantra. That is what is meant by Prithvi, Antariksham, and Dhyau. So he says, all the three lokas are posited in which consciousness? This means that all the 14 lokas are posited in this consciousness. Yasmin Brahmani, Yasmin Atmani, Dhyau Prithvi cha Antariksham, all the lokas. Otam. Otam means what? They are actually woven. All the lokas are woven in this consciousness. It's not as if the lokas were formed first and then slowly the consciousness entered. No, it's not as if the matter is separate, consciousness is separate, and the consciousness enters into this. No, it is not like that. The consciousness is all the time there. This Brahman is everywhere. It is all the time there. And in this Brahman, all the lokas are woven. Otam protam. Like a fabric is woven into the threads. You know, the cotton threads are there, silken threads are there. In the threads, the fabric is woven. Just like that, the thread of the entire universe, the thread of every body is nothing but this Atma. And in this thread of consciousness, Krishna said in Bhagavad Gita, Sutre Manigana Iva. It is that consciousness which is in and through everything, like a sutra or like a thread which is going through all the manis. So, Sutre Manigana Iva. Like that, here, Otam, Prithvi, Antariksha, Dhyau, Ityadi, all these lokas are Otam. They're all there, literally woven into this. And what do these stand for? These stand for nothing but the Samashti Prapancha. That is the worlds, the different 14 worlds here stand for the outer or Samashti Prapancha. What about the Vyashti Prapancha? He says, Saha Pranaishcha Sarvaihi. So all the pranas of the living beings, the entire Sukshma Shariras of all the living beings are also woven into it. The entire Samashti Prapancha and the entire Vyashti Prapancha involving the Sukshma Shariras of all the individuals are woven into this Brahman. Therefore, all the lokas, the entire Samashti and the entire Vyashti are nothing but those which are woven into this. They are present in this. Otam manaha saha pranishcha sarve. Sarve pranaha. All the pranas. All the pranas means all the sukshma shariras, all the jivas. So the entire insentient jagat, all the lokas, and all the jivas, they're all where? Otam. They're all completely woven into this fabric. Manaha saha pranaischa sarve. Manaha means what? Mana, the buddhi, the individual, the sukshma sharira. Prana is also sukshma sharira. So, Prithvi, Antariksha, Dhyau represent the samashti sthula prapancha. Sorry, Manaha, Pranaha, they indicate the samashti and vyashti sukshma prapancha. So the entire sthula sukshma prapancha and sthula sukshma, the vyashti sthula sukshma shariras are nothing but woven into this particular consciousness called as Brahman. Then what does he say? Sorry. Tame vaikam janatha atmanam. Third line. Tam yeva ekam atmanam janatha. May you understand that one consciousness as yourself. Atmanam janata. So from Brahman, he comes to Atma. Yasmin Brahmani, in that Brahman, in which the entire Sthula Prapancha and Sukshma Prapancha is woven. May you understand that one Brahman to be none other than your Swarupam Atma. Tamevam tameva ekam janatha. May you all know that that is the one which is Atma Swarupam. Tameva ekam janatha atmanam. Anya vacho vimunchatha. Once you have known this, there is no need to know anything else. There is no need to, try to understand anything else. That is what Shaunaka asked Angiras. Shaunaka, the Shishya, asked Angiras, the teacher, what is it that by knowing which it is as though I have known everything. Tameva ekam janatha atmanam. May you understand yourself, the Atma, to be none other than Brahman, in which all the worlds, that is the Vyashti and Samashti Prapanchas, are woven. This is a Mahavakya, isn't it? May you know that one Brahman to be none other than yourself. And once you know this, there is no need to know anything else. Anya vacho vimunchatha. You remember in Kathopanishad, na ativadi bhavati. Na ativadi bhavati means he doesn't feel the need to talk about anything. We all talk about everything else except what is to be talked about. We try to know everything other than what is to be known. However much you know, whatever you know, there is a limit to what you can know. Apara is something, the more you know, the more you know, the more there is to know. So, you can start knowing anything, but there is so much to know that it is impossible for any person to know everything. Then what should we know? How much should we know? Whatever is needed for us for transaction. That's it. What do I need for transacting in this world? If I know that much, that is more than enough. I don't have to struggle to know everything. I don't have to struggle to find out the basics of everything. When I drive a car, I should know how to drive. That's all. I need not know from where this connection is coming, from where this one is going, where the engine is there, from engine where it goes, how it goes. I don't have to know. It's not necessary for me to know. Similarly, what he says is understanding oneself to be that Brahman is the only thing that is worth knowing in this life. In Viveka Chudamani also we saw that there is only one thing which is worth listening to, and that is nothing but Atmaswarupa. Why all our scriptures are talking about that? Because whatever else we know, however much we know about the world outside, number one, it is limited. Number two, it keeps me in bondage all the time. It never releases me from my basic problem of apurnatva. Isn't it? The more I know, the more I want to know. The more I know, I feel less fulfilled. And how many things can I know? It's not possible. So, anya vacho vimunchatha. Don't waste your energy Don't waste your time in unnecessarily knowing about things which are absolutely of no use to you. Especially in today's world, it is so true. With all the social media and things like that, how much time we are spending on our mobiles. And what do we understand? What do we learn? Nothing. It's nothing worth knowing. But we say we have no time for Vedanta. We have no time for our scriptures. We have no time to listen to somebody who's talking about these things. But we have enough time from morning to night to sit in front of a small screen and watch things which are absolutely of no use. Yes, we should know certain things to survive and to transact. But then beyond that, if we are wasting our time, what is the point? So he says, Anya vacho vibhunchatha. May you completely give up interest. May you withdraw yourself from all unnecessary talk, all unnecessary transactions. May you withdraw. Amritasya yesha setuhu. This knowledge, Aham Brahmasmi, or I, this Atma, is nothing but that Brahman in which everything is woven, the whole universe is woven. This knowledge is the setu or the bridge or the way to Amritatvam, to immortality. What is the meaning of immortality? The meaning of immortality is that I understand that I was never born, I am not going to die. It is the body which is born, which ages, which goes through all the changes, and it is the body that ultimately dies, nothing else. So Amritasya, I am that Amrita Atma. I am already that immortal Atma. I don't have to become immortal. I am immortal. I am that Najayate Mriyate Va Kadachita Nayam Bhutva Bhavita Va Nabhuya. I am that Atma. I am that consciousness which is all the time there. Anya vacho vimunchata amritasya yesha setuhu. This knowledge, this knowledge, withdrawing from unnecessary activities of the world and getting into this Guru Mukhena Shastra Adhyanam and understanding this Mahavakyam, that whatever is the adhishtanam of everything that I see is nothing but I, this consciousness, in which not only my body mind sense complex is woven, but the entire universe is woven. So this is a Mahavakya. Amritasya Yesha Setuhu. Next we go to the sixth, verse, in which the Atma is being talked about here. Again, this is also a Mahavakya, but the Atma is being talked about here as that consciousness which is available in my own Buddhi Guha. It is that consciousness in which what is explained in the fifth verse is noted. Now let us see what the sixth verse says. Ara ivaratana bhau samhata yatra nadyaha sa yesho antascharate bahudha jayamanaha om ityevam dhyayatha atmanam swasti vah paraya tamasah parastat. So how do I understand this Brahman in me, that is, I am that Brahmaniti? How do I understand? I have seen the Mahavakya that Brahman is nothing but you, the Atma. Ekam Atmanam Vijanatha or Janatha. How do I understand that? Where is it available for me? If Atman or Brahman is all pervasive, then where is this Atman available for me? And he says in this verse that this Atman or this consciousness, though it is all pervading, it is available in my own Hridaya Guha, in my own Buddhi. It is available as a reflection in the Buddhi. It's available as the Chidabhasa in my Buddhi. And where is this that is available? What is this Hridayam? Where is this heart that we are talking about? Is it some kind of a heart which we are not seeing, or is it the same physical heart? Our scriptures say that Atma can be upalabdha or recognized within this physical heart itself. In this very physical heart, in that cave of the heart, in the Hridayakasha, there is what is called as the consciousness which is available. The consciousness which is available. Now let us see what we have to see here. He says, where is that heart? How do we understand? He explains this anatomical heart here. Ara iva rathanabhau samhata yatra nadyaha. There is a physical golakam called as the heart, into which all the nadis end. Some nadis take away from there. We have seen that even in Kathopanishad, Sahasra Ekam, 101 nadis, which are there, which are going out and coming into the heart. One of them, Urdhvam Gachati, the Sushumna Nadi, goes up and goes through the Brahmarandra. We have seen that in the last chapter, in the last second or last third verse of the end of Kathopanishad. So here he says, Ara iva ratanabhau samhata yatra nadyaha. Like a wheel whose spokes end in the hub in the middle, correct? Whenever you see a wheel, we find that there are a lot of aras. What is the meaning of ara? Spokes. These spokes are the ones which ultimately get into a central portion called as the hub of the wheel. Correct? It is the hub in which all the spokes which are connected to outside peripherally are present there. Similarly, there is a golaka called as the heart. There is a physical area, physical organ called as the heart, in which all the ratha, like the ratha ara, where in the rathanabhi they center, all the nadis. Nadis can be called as blood vessels or lymphatic vessels or nerves or sinews or various names are given, but nadi is nadi. We cannot translate it into English. Hundreds of nadis emerge from the heart or get into the heart, just like the spokes of a wheel are culminating in the central hub. This is the physical heart, and in which Sayesha Antas Charate Bahudha Jayamanaha. That means what? This Atma is there, available for me for perception, as the consciousness behind every thought that arises. Every thought that arises in the buddhi, every thought that is born in my mind and buddhi, in the antakaranam, it is this consciousness which backs this thought, because of which I understand this thought. So, yeshaha means what? Sa yeshaha. Sa means who? This Atma, this consciousness. Yesho antascharate. It is inside, it is available inside the heart. Bahudha jayamanaha, which is available in the form of many, many thoughts appearing one after another. The thoughts are changing, but the consciousness behind these different thoughts are not changing. The consciousness behind every thought is the same. Now I say, I am seeing the thought of the sight. It is I, the consciousness. I am listening. It is the same conscious which is behind the thought of the listener. So, what our scripture says is, Bodham Bodham Prati. Pratibodha Viditham, it is called as. Pratibodha Viditham means what? It is that consciousness which is behind every thought that springs out from the buddhi, from the mind. The consciousness is the same. The thoughts are coming and going, and with each thought, The thought is backed by this consciousness, and we feel that the consciousness is born in many ways. Bahudha jayamana. So I say, I see, I hear, I touch, I smell. I did that yesterday. I'm doing this now. I'm speaking this now. I'll be speaking something else tomorrow. What is it? It is one consciousness which is behind all the thoughts, varied thoughts that are arising in the antakaranam, in the mind, in the buddhi. And where is this buddhi situated? Where is this mind situated? It is situated in what is called as the Hridaya Guha. Okay, Hridaya Guha. Angushtamatra Purushah. Hridaye Sannivishtaha. We saw that in Kathopanishad. It's the same thing that though Atma, though Brahman is available everywhere, it is Sarvagatam. But in me, the Buddhi Guha, I can perceive it, understand it as aham asmi, I am. And this I am is behind the varied thoughts that are arising in the antakaranam. So, saha, that atma, yeshaha, antascharate bahudha jayamanaha. This Atma can be recognized. It is Upalabdha in this Hridaya Guha. It is available in this Hridaya Guha, Bahudha Jayamanaha, in the form of various thoughts that are arising. And how do I know that? How do I contemplate upon it? He says, he brings in that Omkara. Om ityevam dhyayatha atmanam. May you contemplate upon this Atma, Om iti yevam dhyayatha. And there is a way of this dhyanam, either as an upasana, where I see myself or that Atman in this Hridaya Guha as Omkara, that is one, the upasana. Then along the lines of Mandukya Upanishad, I see myself as that consciousness behind the Jagrat Avastha, the same consciousness behind the Swapna Avastha, and the same consciousness behind the Sushupti Avastha, what we call as the Avasthatraya Sakshi. Therefore, Om Ityevam Dhyayata Atmanam, that Brahman, Saha, which is there in available for me, Upalabdha for me in this heart, Hridaya Guha, in this Hridaya Kasha, may you contemplate upon it in the form of Om. Or if you are prepared for this knowledge, may you contemplate upon this Om, that consciousness which is all the time pulsating in me as Ahamasmi, as the Avasthatraya Sakshi Atma. Atmanam Om iti evam dhyayata swastihi vah paraya tamasah parastat. This is the only way to cross the ocean of ignorance. And may this do good to you. The Guru is saying, Swastihi Vaha. May this contemplation on Omkara, may it be auspicious for you. Swastihi, auspicious for you. Paraya, to get beyond. Tamasaha parastha. To cross behind the tamas, to cross behind the darkness of avidya, tamasaha parastar. This is the only thing, okay? That is what here the Shruti or the Upanishad is pointing out to the physical heart as the physical place where the Atman can be recognized in the form of Aham Asmi. And what is that heart? It is that physical structure, our physical anatomical heart, in which there are hundreds of nadis which are getting in and getting out. Swasti vaha paraya tamasaha parasthat. May this inquiry, may this contemplation be auspicious for you. So, hey Shaunaka, that Brahman in which all the lokas, the Vyashti Samashti lokas are woven, is nothing but you, the Atma. Then how do you know where this Atma is? You don't have to go anywhere else to find that. It is available in your own body, in your own physical heart, in your own buddhi guha, hridaya akashi. It is available in the form of that constantly pulsating ahamasmi iti. And that is the meaning of Omkara. You can contemplate upon it as that pulsating ahamasmi as the Omkara. With that, or you can do the Omkara Vichara as that Ahamasmi, as the Avasthatraya Sakshi consciousness. Avasthatraya Sakshi Atma. Again, this is a Mahavakya. Saha, what is that? That Brahman, should have said Tat Brahman. Sa means that Brahman is available in your own Hridaya Guha as the consciousness behind every thought. And may you understand this to be that Brahman. This is the only way of tamasaha parasthat paraya, to get beyond the ocean of darkness of ignorance. So these are also the Mahavakyas. Now we'll take the 7th verse and the 8th verse together, which is again talking about Brahman from Samashtitaya, Atma, Vyashtitaya, and it is talking about the Atma Brahma Abheda. So let us read the 7th and 8th verses together, and then I will explain each one separately. So, Yaha Sarvajnyaha Sarvaved, Yasyaish Mahima Bhuvi, Divye Brahmapure Yeshaha, Vyomni Atma Pratishtitaha, मनोमयः प्राणशरीरनेता प्रतिष्ठितो अन्ये हृदयं सन्निधाय तद्विज्ञानेन परिपश्यन्ति धीराः आनन्दरूपम् अमृतं यद्विभाति. So talking about the same existence, consciousness, Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, Brahma, Brahman from the point of view of Samashti, Atma or the consciousness from the point of view of the Vyashti Sharira, individual Sharira, is being talked about in its oneness, in its non-separateness. So he says, what is that Brahman? He says, Yaha Sarvajnyaha. This Brahman is a Sarvajnyaha. Brahman is the knower of everything. It is knowledge Swarup. Sarvajna means what? All knower consciousness. Whatever is there, it is pervaded by this consciousness. Therefore, this consciousness is the knower of everything. Generally means everything that is there, which is known by this particular Atma or this particular knowing consciousness. Yaha Sarvajnaha. Sarvavit, in particular also. That consciousness which knows everything generally, called as Sarvajnaha. Sarvavit, in particular. Everything in particular. For example, if you take any language, that consciousness because of which every language is there, it is this Brahman. Take any object in the world. Anything that object exists, whatever object exists, it exists there in the form of whatever is the name and form. So this Brahman is the knower of everything in general and the knower of every name and form in particular. Therefore, Brahman is called as Sarvajna, omniscient, Sarvajna. Sarvavid, omnipotent, the one who knows each and everything particularly, in particular. Now, If a person, a jnani, a person who has understood this Brahman is a Sarvajna, is called as a Sarvajna. Why? Because he knows that everything is nothing but this Atman, therefore he is Sarvajna. But a jnani cannot become Sarvavid, isn't it? Like a jnani who talks in Kannada will suddenly not know English and Hindi and Sanskrit, and he may not know. Correct? He may not know how a fan works, how an electric gadget works. He will not know. He is not a Sarvavid. So Sarvajnaha means Ishvara or Brahman is the knower of everything in general and everything in particular. Sarvavid, all knower of everything in particular. Anything behind, any knowledge behind anything is this Brahman. The knowledge behind the entire science of botany is nothing but this Brahman, this consciousness. The knowledge behind every branch of science or arts or humanities or whatever it is nothing but Brahman. Therefore, Brahman is the all-knower in general, called as Sarvajnaha. All-knower in particular, everything else, called as Sarvavid. So this Brahman is Sarvajnaha Sarvavid. Yasya Yesha Mahima Bhuvihi. All the Mahimas, all the glories in this world, Bhuvi, belong to nothing but this Brahman. From this mantra only, the entire 10th chapter of Bhagavad Gita is based by Krishna. Vibhuti Yoga, Lord Krishna talks about his Vibhuti. I as Atma or Brahman, what are my Vibhutis? What are my, what is it that I am capable of? What are my glories? The entire 10th chapter talks about the exaltedness, the glories called as the Vibhutis of Atma or Brahman. Here Krishna talks about himself as Brahman. And he says, I am this, I am this, I am that, I am this. In particular, he talks. He says, I am the Srishti Sthiti Layakaranam general. Then he says, among the mountains, I am the Meru, I am among the Rishis, I am, Shukramuni, I am among, so this one, I am this, I am that, among rivers, I am Ganga. What is the meaning of this in particular? So when Krishna talks about Vibhuti Yoga, he calls himself not as a Mr. Krishna, but he said, I, Brahman, is a Sarvajnaha, all-knower in general. And I have the Vibhuti or exalted knowledge of everything in particular. So whatever Yesha, Yasya Yesha Mahima Bhuvi, this entire universe, all the glories of this universe, all the laws of this universe are nothing but the knowledge that is called as Brahman. And then what does he say here? What is the meaning of all this vibhuti? See, the laws of Ishvara, the laws of Brahman, the Shasana of Brahman, because of which Shankaracharya, Acharya, Bhagwan writes a beautiful commentary on this, says, Yasya Shasane, in whose mandate, by whose mandate, he says, the stars are moving in their own orbit. The earth and the moon are moving in their own orbit. Yasya Shasane, in whose mandate the Rutus are coming in time. Yasya Shasane, in whose Shasana, in whose mandate, whatever has to be stable remains stable and not moving, like mountains. They remain stable. The oceans remain in their limits. Okay. Anything that moves, like wind moves. Just imagine if Himalayas decide one day to fly. It seems earlier they were like that earlier. There is the Puranic stories. Forget about that. Supposing a mountain or trees start flying, supposing the one day the oceans start feeling that, okay, let us occupy everything and move, what will happen to us? Wind, which is supposed to move, one day it decides, I am fed up of moving, I will not move anymore, I'll stay in one place. What will happen? Correct? No. So Shankaracharya says the Mahimas of Brahman or Ishvara in Sarvavit means all the various laws, the cosmic laws, The anatomical laws, the physiological laws, the physical laws, the chemical laws, the magnetic laws, whatever the laws are there, because of which the whole universe is functioning in a coordinated manner. When it is night here, there is day somewhere else. When the sun is setting somewhere, it is rising somewhere else. When the seasons have to come, they will come. A particular fruit has to be there in a particular season, it will only come in that particular season. A particular tree will go only to a particular height. A particular tree will start giving fruit only after so many years of it, whatever it is. So everything in this universe is following a kind of a law. So our universe is not chaotic. It is an orderly universe. And what is this order? This order is the mandate or the shasana of Brahman, which we call as Sarvajnah Sarvavid. Yasya Shasane, everything is working in a perfect order. We may feel what nonsense is happening in this world and we may get fed up of certain things happening, but that is also a part of the order and nothing else. That is what is necessary. That is what has to happen. Therefore, Mahima means the mandate of Brahman or Ishvara. It is the laws of Brahman or Ishvara, because of which the whole universe is running in an orderly fashion. Yasya yesha mahima bhuvihi. Mahima means the very vibhuti of this Lord, where everything manifests as per a perfect system that is running. There is no chance for the system to fail. A man made system can fail, but Ishvara made system cannot fail. Okay, our bodies are also Ishvara made system, but we spoil it. We spoil it, and naturally it has got its own time of departure and expiry, and we contribute to that time of departure and expiry. So yasya yesha mahima bhuvi. And where do you find this Brahman? Divye Brahmapure Vyeshaha Vyomni Atma Pratishtitaha. Again a Mahavakyam. That Brahman, Saha, that Brahman, Yaha, Sarvajnaha, Sarvavit, where is it found? Divye Brahmapure, Brahmapuri. See, our hearts are called as Brahmapuri because this is where Brahman resides in us. So, Divye means exalted. Divye means the brightness, that which creates the brightness in my buddhi, that which brightens my buddhi. Brahmapure. In this puri called as the heart, in the hridaya guha, in the akasha, he says vyomni. Brahmapure vyomni means what? In the space of the heart, which we talked about in the previous verse, that Sarvajna Sarvavit is available here. So who am I? I am also a Sarvajna. I may not be a Sarvavit because I have a limited mind and intellect. But Brahman's mind is Maya. Maya is Brahman's mind, and therefore Brahman is Sarvavit. But my mind is limited with avidya, therefore I cannot be a Sarvavit. I may be a little better than others. I may know 3, 4 things, whereas somebody else may know 1 or 2 things. That's it. Because the capacity of my brain to know various things is limited. So this Saha Sarvajnah Sarvavit, where is this Sarvajna Sarvavit posited, situated? Divye Brahmapure Hyesha Vyomni. Brahmapure Vyomni. In the Hridaya Akasha. Yeshaha Pratishtitaha. Established here. Available here. This Sarvajna Sarvavit is available everywhere. I don't have to search for this Sarvajna Sarvavit Atma. Wherever I see, it is Atma. Anything that I see is nothing but that which is, made up of, or that which is woven in Atma. Anything that is functioning, it is the Atman, the knowledge that is functioning. I don't have to look for Atma. Wherever I open my eyes, there is nothing but this Atman or Brahman which is behind everything. And that very Atma, if I am finding it difficult to find it in the Jagat outside everywhere, Sarvam Khalu Idam Brahma, Sarvam Ishwaramayam Jagat, it is said that. If I am not able to see that in every, what you call as, in every atom of everything, Anoraniyam, Mahatomahiyan, wherever I see, whatever I experience, I am experiencing only Brahman. I am seeing only Brahman. The names and forms are incidental. Therefore, this is a Mahavakya. Divye Brahmapure Yeshaha Vyomni Brahmapure Vyomni Yeshaha Atma Pratishtitaha. As Atma, the same Brahman is there in me. And from the point of view of this individual, I call it as Atma. And what does it do here? What is the function that it does here in the Hridaya Guha? In the next verse he says, Manomayaha Prana Sharira Neta. It is that Atma, that intelligence, that awareness, which is having the Buddhi as its Upadhi. Manomaya. Manomaya means this Buddhi in Hridaya Guha, this Antakaranam Buddhi is the Upadhi, Manomaya. Brahman is called as Manomaya here, not the Manomaya Kosha of Taittiriya Upanishad. Manomaya means it is Brahman, which is nothing but having my Antakaranam or Buddhi as the Upadhi. And what does it do? Prana Sharira Neta. It is the very leader or it is the very intelligence behind the Sukshma Sharira. All the activities of prana, of the organs of perception, jnanendriyas and karmendriyas, the entire Sukshma Sharira function is that which is backed by this Atma. Therefore, it is called Prana Sharira Neta. It is this Neta means what? The one which leads. This Atman is the one because of which the Sukshma Sharira can leave this body, embody itself into another body, do all its functions while it is in this body, do all its functions when it travels to the next body. It is the presence or it is the backing of this Atma that the Sukshma Shariram is able to do all its activities. So Prana Sharira Neta, the one which leads the Sukshma Sharira, leads the Sukshma Sharira in its regular functioning. At the same time, it leads the Sukshma Sharira, Dehantara Prapte, it leads the Sukshma Sharira. Then, where is it Pratishtitam? Pratishtite Annam Anne Hridayam Sannidhaya. Again, the repetition of the previous thing. Anne, Annamaya Sharire, Annamaya Koshe, Hridaye Pratishtitaha Sannidhaya. It means it is pratishtitah, it is manifest, it is available in this very body, in this very Annamaya Kosha, in the heart, in the guha of the heart. This is a repetition of the previous verse. Okay, and here what he says, this Brahmapuri is what? Heart here. He says, Pratishtite Anne Hridayam Sannidhaya. Tad Vijnanena Paripashyanti Dhiraha. Dhiraha means what? Those who have entered into this Jnana Yoga, those who are studying the Upanishads, Shastra Adhyayanam Guru Mukhena, those who are able to understand this Tadvijnanena, knowing this Vishesha Jnanena, Paripashyanti, they very clearly understand it. Pashyanti means what? They see. What is the meaning of see? They understand. What do they understand? They understand that Brahman, which is a Sarvajna, which is the Sarvavid, because of which the entire universe is running, is nothing but this Atma who is the Prana Sharira Neta. I don't have to search for this Brahman. That Brahman is available within this Hridaya Guha. Anne Hridaye Pratishtitam Sannidhaya. Sannidhaya means taking this mana or taking this Antakaranam, taking the Upadhi of this Antakaranam available here in the Hridayam. Tadvijnanena paripashyanti dhiraha. Dhiraha, or the wise people, see this Brahman the way it is entered here. And how do they see this Brahman? How do they see this Atma? Ananda Rupam Amritam Yadvibhati. Not as the complaining, puny, limited myself, no. Always complaining, always finding fault with everything, always trying to say that I am not having this, I am not having that, is saying that thing, I'll be happy when this happens, I'll be happy when that happens. No. Ananda Rupam Amritam Yad Vibhati. That Atma which is Vibhati, which is shining, which is constantly shining in me in the form of Aham Purnatva Swarupa Atma Asmi. I am Sat Rupa Atma Asmi. Aham Chid Rupa Atma Asmi. Aham Sukha Rupa Atma Asmi. Aham Ananda Rupa Atma Asmi. Aham Amrita Swarupa Atma Asmi. That Brahman I am. And I am what? Ananda Swarup. Ananta Swarupam. Purnatva Swarupam. Amritam. Immortal. I have never been born. I am never going to die. Amritam. And it shines in me, ever shines with me. That is within me. That is what a dhira, a jnani, a mumukshu who is going through the right method of this inquiry finds that it is that same Brahman which is shining as Ahamasmi, Ananta Swarupa, Ananda Swarupa, Amrita Swarupa, Brahma Atma Ahamasmi. Again, another beautiful Mahavakya. So the fifth verse, the sixth verse, the seventh verse, and the eighth verse are nothing but Mahavakya Vicharas. We have another 4 verses to go till the end of this chapter, this section, which are again very, very beautiful mantras. This is the section which is literally the central section of the teaching of Mahavakya of this entire Upanishad, which will, the next ones we will, next 4 we will take up in our next session. Om Nandantu Sadhaka Sarve Vinashyantu Vidushakaha Avastha Shambhavi Mestu Prasannostu Guru Sada Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinaha Sarve Santu Niramayaha Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschid Dukkham Apnuyat. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Tat Sat.